All right, so we can get started. Thanks, Philip. And we're now recording. I'll hand it on over to Philip. Welcome from both of us.
Exactly. So thank you, Eva. A very warm welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for joining our first webinar. This is the Industry Disruptor, as you know, a unique incubation and mentorship program which we are running in collaboration with UN Women. So my name is Philip. I am the Director of Impact Entrepreneurship at the Do School, and I will be your facilitator together with...
Hello, so Eva. Really nice to have you here. I'm co-facilitating with Philip, and we'll be both with you in the Do Community Cafe.
Wonderful. I think we can jump to the welcome slide. Exactly. So that's our beautiful header image. Yes, so we are kicking off the program today. And again, we have 70 people in this room. So for the ones who just joined recently, very warm welcome. This will be an interactive webinar, but we would ask all of you to please go on mute until we tell you to unmute for the interactive parts. And yes, again, a warm welcome from us at the Do School. Just a few words about the Do School before I hand over to UN Women, to Sohela from UN Women India, who will introduce the program from her side. But from our side, we are so honored to run this program together with UN Women. The Do School is a social enterprise. We are based in Berlin, in Germany, in the United States, and in Hong Kong, but we're operating globally. So we are running a lot of programs all over the world to enable a purposeful economy, as we call it. And what does that mean? So we work on the one side with entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs just getting started from all over the world, to empower them to create a purposeful economy. We also work with large organizations, as the UN, for example, also large companies, to help them transform themselves and transform whole industries. As you see, the Industry Disruptor, this is also why we are part of this program. So working with entrepreneurs, working with large organizations. As you might have seen, we also have industry partners, part of this program, which will be introduced in the course of the next weeks. So we are very excited to also work with large organizations, because as we all know, to bring about real change, not enough to only work on the grassroots level. We also have to work with the bigger organizations and most of all collaborate. So this is a very collaborative platform that we want to enable here, and we're super excited to have so many inspiring entrepreneurs. So Eva and I were also doing all of the interviews together with our colleagues at the Do School, and we were so excited to meet many of you. With that, as a little introduction to the Do School, I would like to hand over to Sohela from UN Women to give a warm welcome from the UN side.
Thank you so much, Philip and Eva. And my name is Sohela, and I'm the Country Program Manager for We Empower Asia program in India. And I represent UN Women in India. A very, very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of UN Women to this program. And this program, as you're all aware, would continue for next 6 weeks. So we all are really looking forward to interacting with you throughout this journey. I really congratulate all the women entrepreneurs, that have undergone this journey or rigorous process of selection to be here where they are today. And I hope that you enjoyed this journey, and I hope that moving forward it would be fruitful for you as well. And I wish to congratulate and thank Do School for implementing this intervention for us. And during this course, we have been joined by various industry partners, such as the H&M that Philip mentioned that we would be, bringing them in later stages. But also WeHub, which is the state government of Telangana's incubator and accelerator program for promoting women's entrepreneurship. And today I'm also delighted to welcome all our mentors and experts who have very kindly agreed to support you throughout this journey, ahead with their expertise and insights. And I will just want to give you a very quick brief background of this Industry Disruptor, that how we conceived this idea. So this idea is being implemented under We Empower Asia program that is funded by EU in 7 countries. And the program aims at really building and strengthening the capacities of women entrepreneurs to be a part of larger corporations, and also working with larger corporations and businesses to make their policies more gender responsive. So the idea is that the businesses will create enabling environment for more women to be a part of them through their supply chains or other initiatives. But also at the same time trying to see that how we can also work with women entrepreneurs to strengthen their capacities, understand what challenges they face, and support in whichever way we can in strengthening those capacities and create those necessary linkages. So the overall, in the nutshell, the idea is to increase women's entrepreneurship as well as employment opportunities in the business. So this is what the program is. We are in the first year of the program, and the idea of Industry Disruptor was conceived really at the beginning of the program to see that how, through this Industry Disruptor challenge, we can identify, budding ideas and really those ideas that have capability to address some of the concerns that women entrepreneurs face firstly on their journey, but also to look at that how some of the gender equality challenges are addressed in the textile and fashion industry, because we know that the fashion industry is there are pervasive challenges when it comes to women, be it at the level of factory floors or be it at the level of workspaces. We don't see much career progression when it comes to women. So I'll stop here, but I'm really delighted that we are starting this program on World Skills Day today. So we are initiating this training program today. And once again, I welcome you all and really look forward to interacting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sohaila. Thank you also for giving the background, who is behind this program, also the funders, of course, and as you mentioned, the mentors who are a big resource and very kindly supporting this project. I want to give you a brief overview of what is going to happen today before I hand over to Eva for our first exercise. We will do a quick welcome and introductions we're doing right now, and we will do a little exercise to also get to know each other in the group. So we noticed also in our process of getting to know you that I think the most exciting part is actually bringing all of you together as a group, and every webinar we will have an exercise to exchange with each other where you can also unmute and have a good conversation. Then as the next part, we have an expert today, Nihal Ahmed, who I will introduce later on, who will give us an input on purpose and vision and why that is important for entrepreneurs. As you heard, we at the Do School want to empower a purposeful economy. So for us, it is very important that everyone who goes through a Do School program is aware of their own purpose and how they can bring their purpose to life through their ventures. And as a third part, we want to give you an overview of the Industry Disruptor program in general and answer all your questions. To make sure that you take out the most of this opportunity, we have the Do Community platform, as we saw, to interact, where we will be sharing resources, but where we also want you to share resources and to connect with each other. So we will introduce that platform to you. But with that, I would like to hand over to Eva for our first exercise.
Lovely. All right. Thank you so much, Sohaila. And Philip, I really appreciate hearing just the vision behind this. I think this has been a creation in motion for many, many months, building on the work of UN Women in Empower Asia. So really happy to be here with you all. We thought there is a ton that you all have in common, as we saw from your applications and from the interviews where we got to meet so many of you. So what we wanted to offer today is a brief chance for you to connect with one or two other people. And this exercise is called Common Ground. Basically, you'll have in between 5 and 10 minutes, Philip will give us a heads up, to share who, like me, and then fill in the blank. So who, like me, grew up in a rural village? That's actually a fact about me that maybe some other people on this call share. Who, like me, upcycles waste? I am aware that quite a lot of you do some incredible upcycling as part of your sustainable fashion. So you can share something personal, you can share something about your work, since that is deeply personal for so many of you. But basically, we'll send you into breakout rooms It's completely spontaneous who gets matched up with whom. And you'll have a few minutes just to share one sentence, who, like me, and then fill in the blank, and see who has some common ground with you. And feel free to take turns as much time as you can to just share as many examples. I love seeing your comment in the chat as well. Who, like me, has 2 kids? I bet you are not the only one. Or a handful of them, exactly.
Great. So I will send all of you into breakout rooms now. There should be a pop-up window where you can just accept, and then you will be sent automatically to the breakout room, and I will get us all back together in 7 to 8 minutes, I would say. Okay? So have fun in the conversation.
See you all soon.
And see you all soon. Welcome back again. We hope you had great conversations in the breakout rooms. And then we would like to move to our next part. So again, we will do an interactive exercise at the beginning of every session. So for the next weeks, we will always have this part. Because I feel that very for you to know people in this group. We also have the Do Community platform, which Eva will show to us later on to interact. So I think this is wonderful to have over 70 people here in this call, and you're all entrepreneurs, very passionate about sustainability and female empowerment and the fashion industry. So I think it's a great overlap. Yeah, then without further ado, I would like to introduce our expert of today. So we're very glad to have Nihal Ahmed with us. Nihal is from Bangalore. He is a Do School alumnus. He graduated from our Entrepreneurship for Good Fellowship. Let me lie, Nihal, I think it's 4 years ago, roughly. I think 2016 was your graduation. So that's how long we know each other already. And Nihal is the founder and CEO of Limitless Institute and several other projects. Nihal, you can elaborate on that more, which is also focused on helping people to discover clarity and purpose in their vision. And this is what we want to focus on today. So again, for the ones who just joined recently, we start many of our journeys at the Do School, especially the entrepreneurial journeys, with discovering our purpose as an individual and connecting that to what we are doing professionally, personally, to say, because as you know, you as an entrepreneur are the most important resource of your enterprise, of your startup. You have all the ideas in the beginning, you have the motivation, the vision, and gather people around that. So that's why it's really important for us to concentrate on that at the beginning of an entrepreneurial journey. Yeah, and with that, I would like to hand over to you, Nihal, to guide us through a process of thinking about purpose and vision.
Thank you so much, Philip. Hi guys, such a pleasure connecting with you all today, and I'm so excited to see how your journey unfolds. So we're going to do a quick interactive session around finding your purpose, your narrative, and just building a vision for the next little while. What I'd love is if this can be as interactive as possible. So how the session is going to work is I'm going to leave you with some questions and some sub questions to think about. I'm also going to share a story with you, so it'll give you a richer understanding of those questions. Sorry, 1 second. Seems to could you guys please mute yourself just so that everybody can hear me okay? Thank you so much. Perfect. So we're going to explore a few questions today. I'd love for you to reflect. If you have a notebook and a pen handy, you could write them down there. But what I'd really love after that is if you could put it in the chat screen, and maybe we can open up a few of these suggestions out and have a dialogue. All right. So this is a philosophy that I've worked on for a few years now, and it's called Ikigai. And it comes from the Japanese philosophy of Ikigai, which means a reason to wake up in the morning or reason for being. And I learned more about this, and I built this tool out because I realized that throughout my journey so far, especially through formal education, there was not really any room for any self-discovery to permeate. And sometimes just to understand ourselves better, just to get that clarity, because there are many situations in our life where we're at, where our life is at a crossroads. or situations in our life where we have to take the next meaningful step, but we just don't know how. We feel off center in one way or one part of our life or another. So this tool really helped me gain that clarity and meaning, and we're gonna run through a few questions with you today. Okay, so the first question is fairly simple. It is, what are your superpowers? Okay, what are your superpowers? So I'm looking for something that people find valuable about you, the skills, the competencies, your gifts that you bring in. Okay, and maybe think about the time where you did something with your skills that saved the day, or that you did something extraordinary where nobody thought it could have been done. Okay, just as a superhero would come and swoop in and save the day and really tackle the situation on the ground. What have you been able to do with some of your gifts, with your skills, with your competencies? Nityanjali says multitasking, resilience. Fantastic. So please keep writing them down. And I'm going to do a very quick story about this. So I have a friend called Bilal. Bilal had this unique superpower where he could bring out optimism with anyone. And he was an Iraqi American, went back to Iraq after the war, and noticed that a lot of the kids, a lot of the people he grew up with, his friends, his peers, they were depressed. They had no hope for their future. They had no idea how they could navigate out of this. And Bilal didn't have any resources, anything fancy. He just had this skill to help people be optimistic about themselves, to find hope for how they could get out of a rut. That's all he did. One day he brought a few tools and a few computers together in a garage, and he said, hey, let's solve problems around us, around our neighborhood, and saw the magic in people. And people started coming and tinkering and making stuff. And soon enough, I think it's been over 10, 12 years now, 13 years since he started his first space. Over 10,000 people have been a part of this community, especially in war zones. And where the biggest thing that they needed then more than anything else was hope. And since then, Bilal's worked with multiple companies, just playing his card of optimism, of bringing out the optimism, bringing out possibilities from people in that company. So this maybe should give you a richer experience of the question. So I see a lot of answers here. Empathy and motivating others, connecting dots and finding opportunities, clarity of concept, resourcefulness, fantastic. Now, what I'd love is just as every Superman has a kryptonite, here we call these shadows. So shadows are strengths that we tend to overdo. That means we are so good at something that becomes our go-to. For example, I'm so good at thinking of new ideas, thinking of new concepts, but when it comes down to converging and actually getting stuff done, I struggle. And my go-to is to just think wider, right? So I'd love for you to think about your top strengths, your top superpowers, and what could be a shadow to those superpowers, okay? So those shadows, like I said, is sometimes when you overdo a strength. For example, I love helping people. I love being useful to people. But the shadow of that is sometimes I struggle to help myself, or I struggle to seek help myself, right? So especially in this journey that you're taking as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, it's useful to know your shadows, because sometimes we might be stuck in that loop. I always want to be in charge and try to bring it to fear of failure. So if you could write your superpower and then your shadow right next to it, that'll be great to compare. Shadows, overthinking. Strengths is dissect a project or task. Shadows, overthinking. Amazing. So it's great sometimes for us to just step back and say, these are things that we're really good at, but sometimes we shouldn't sabotage ourselves. That's why the shadow exercise. I'm a troubleshooter, but the shadow is that I end up exhausting myself. Fantastic. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Great, guys. These are some fabulous answers. Thank you so much for sharing, and I love the interaction. We're going to move on to the next question now. We're going to talk about leverage. Okay. So this question is, what valuable currencies have you built? Okay. What valuable currencies have you built? Now, what is that currency that I'm talking about? So I'm going to quote my mentor who taught me this very early on, and that stuck with me for the last decade. It is, all of us are rich, only some of us have money. Okay? All of us are rich, only some of us have money. What I mean by that is sometimes to get certain things done, sometimes we want something we can't get, either because we don't have the money for it, or either because it just seems impractical to get it. But thinking about us as thinking about our currencies, the skills that we have in abundance, the skills that are valuable for people to say, hey, can you please do this for me, and we can give you what you want, right? And I'm going to give you some examples to illustrate that. So 2 examples, one in my own. So when I was when I was 22, 23, I spent some time working in the impact space in India. And what I've done over the years is I have written to conferences to say, hey, this is the kind of stuff that I've done in India. Your panelist has mostly Europeans. I can bring you a unique perspective. All you need to do is pay for my flight and maybe stay. And this let me travel to different countries. For them, it was a fraction of the cost they would have gotten a speaker for. And I would really work on that narrative to say that this is such a unique perspective that I'm bringing in, and it'll add a unique dimension to your conference. And for this, I think I've traveled to over 50 countries without paying a dime for it, just because I've been able to use my currency that way. Okay? And that can be a slightly superficial example, but I'm going to tell you a really inspiring story. This is a friend of mine called Akshay. Akshay was actually a US Marine who fought the war in Iraq, and his job was to detect the IED bombs. And on one such expedition, he lost his friend. He was blown up during this operation. And Akshay fell into depression, struggled with PTSD, was suicidal, was struggling with substance abuse. And when he was at the lowest point in his life, he realized that he didn't want to be another statistic. He didn't want to leave a message like that. And since then, he built this philosophy called Fear-Vana. So finding your worthy struggle by confronting your fear, and finding that sense of bliss by confronting your fear. Since then, he's run across 50 countries, skied across Greenland, climbed some of the highest peaks on Earth, worked with war veterans and people who've been struggling with the issues that he had, and helping them battle their fears. A really, really inspiring story. And he wrote a book by the very same name. And he wanted one of his heroes, the Dalai Lama, to write the foreword for his book. Now, the thing with the Dalai Lama is you could spend $1 million, you could give him $1 million to write the foreword for his book, and if he doesn't feel like doing it, he will not do it. And you just can't make it. Now, what kind of a currency could you use in that time? And Akshay used his own life story. He said, this is my life story, this is what I've been through, this is my message, and this is my vision. Could you please be a part of that journey? Right? And believe it or not, he actually made that happen. This is the foreword that the Dalai Lama's written. So this is how powerful currencies can be. So I'd love for you to share what currencies you've been able to build. And if you don't have any strong currencies, maybe it's time to think about how you could build them now.
I can sense the thinking. I'm reflecting myself, Nihal. That's such a lovely framing. I'm really appreciating hearing you all. Oh, awesome. Cool. Wow, you all are much faster than I am. It's great to hear you're hopping into the chat.
Fantastic. So guys, I want something. So these are beautiful answers, but a currency is valuable only when you can leverage it, only when you can use it. So think about something that you can actually use to get what you want, use to open doors of whether it is opportunities, getting to work somewhere, being able to go to places, or working with somebody, right? So think about currencies not as, okay, these are things that I've built over the years, but rather what is usable, what can be leveraged. What do people find valuable that they feel like they could take that skill or that whatever it is in lieu of money, or in lieu of getting what or to get you what you want. So for example, Umang says network. Network can be leveraged, for example. Perseverance is a solid skill to have, but I'm not sure how it could be leveraged to get what you want. Knowledge as a grassroots livelihood expert on the circular economy. So fantastic. Now, leveraging that at different platforms, different conferences, different communities, to help you maybe travel, help you meet very interesting people, even get paid to consult with them, for example. Now that's leverage. My studio space, fantastic, lovely. Now I see that you guys are getting it. So I'm going to quickly move on to the next question in about 10 seconds. If you guys want to write something down, then you have 10 seconds for that. Kalyani says 20 plus years of passion experience in a mix of tech and help top brands become sustainable. Fantastic, all of those things. Now, how could we package them? How could we make them sexy? How could we put them on a platform where people could spot them, people could interact with them? How do you create that pull factor? And that's a really important skill to have for all your guys' journey. All right, I'm going to go to the next question now. So this is just before I ask that question, I want to ask you guys, what is passion to you? What is your passion? If you could just quickly write that down. Fantastic. Okay, so handloom, sustainable, slow fashion, design and art, working with the purpose, equality. Fantastic. So here's what I've understood after probably spending time with thousands of people: is passion is not an activity, a career, or a profession. Passion is the high you get when you do something or be someone. For example, if somebody says my passion is making textiles, my passion is art, my passion is to cook. Now I'm looking for one level deeper. What is the high you get when you cook? What is the high you get when you make art? What is the high you get when you play football, if football is what it is, or if playing music is what it is? And I see that when usually people differentiate passion with, for example, they say, I'm passionate about cooking or passionate about football, but here's what I do for a living. And that creates a sort of disconnect. But the goal here is to find meaning by going one level deeper and really seeing what is it about football, what is it about music, what is it about art that gets you excited. For example, if it's art, see if the high you get when you paint something is I love I love that I can translate my complex, messy thoughts into a piece of paper, whether it is to write, whether it's to paint or whatever. Or I love working as a team to defeat an opponent. Okay, and that experience. I love performing in front of others. I love building something from scratch. Now, when you go that one level deeper to say what passion really is, you could actually find that with multiple activities at different levels, right? So one level down, what is the high you get when you do something you absolutely love? Love the warmth of handmade, process of creation, fantastic. High from creation, designed to employment, fantastic. Authentic expression through the products I create, beautiful. Executing on my ideas to see it come to life, fantastic. Lovely, lovely. These are beautiful. So just to keep track of time, I'm just going to move on to the final two questions. Now that we're coming closer to this, we're going to do two levels. One is helping you craft your narrative, your purpose, and then we'll look at a much larger vision for the world, just because of the nature you guys are. Okay. So first, now that you've gotten some clues, right? Some patterns. It is just for us to look back, zoom in, and weave that into a narrative, into a sentence. For example, and this I would say with I'll illustrate that with another story. Okay, what narrative actually is. This is another dear friend of mine called Deepak. Now Deepak was 12 years of age, and he loved listening to stories. Loved listening to those stories with those morals in the end, with those lessons to take away. And his mother used to give him a lot of those. And one day he asked his mother, how come you never went to school, but you're still the smartest person I know? Who taught you this? And she said, my life was my biggest teacher. And something shifted for him. Since then, he felt that there is so much wisdom in people. And I wish I could capture that in some way. He made it, his narrative became, I love people so much and I want to capture their life lessons. I want to capture that wisdom from them and weave it into something interactive that people could interact with and people could learn from. Since then, he's collected over 190,000 life lessons from people around the world, from refugees to CEOs to little kids, everybody, all across the board. And he's turned those life lessons into workshops, into fun games, into beautiful videos, into even a painting project. So we actually ran this initiative where Deepak brought in some artists from across India to a near abandoned village where there were so many folklores and stories, wisdom that was being lost forever. And he took that whole village as a canvas and painted life lessons of every household on each of those houses. And it was arguably one of the world's largest canvases. And this is how it manifests from a simple narrative. Personally, my narrative is I like to create breakthroughs for people, or I like to create possibilities for people that they didn't have before. Okay, I like to create possibilities for people that they didn't have before. And these possibilities could mean, wow, I didn't really think about myself like that. Or, oh, now I know how to get something done, right? And there are different vehicles of doing that. One could be a session like I'm doing today, and hopefully I'm able to create some possibilities for you. One could be through games and workshops and experiences and retreats. And it could be through my own company, or it could be through something else. All of them are vehicles, all of it to achieve that one narrative. For Deepak, it was, I want to capture wisdom from as many people as possible and translate them and share them in as many ways, interactive ways as possible, right? So what could your narrative be? I'd love to see that. So could you please put that in the screen? To be in union with the craft clusters in garment workers I work with, to share and exchange knowledge and our worlds and co-create beautiful pieces of fashionable craft. Beautiful, Shilpa, beautiful. To bring together style with a story, fantastic. Now, when you have this narrative, create some integrity to this narrative to say, anything that I do, I want to fulfill that narrative. Anything that I do, spending a lot of energy, be it with anything that I put out into the world, I want to fulfill that narrative. So to bring together style with a story, for example, right? Think about, okay, from this could happen through maybe a video series, this could happen through a garment line, this could happen through workshops, this could happen through so many things. But I want to make sure that I filter things, so I do things that fit my narrative. And that leads me to asking this one question that my partner ends her workshops with. She's phenomenally talented and she's going to be a part of this program as well. She asks, how would you like to be remembered? Okay, how would you like to be remembered? So narrative, and how would you like to be remembered? Empower fellow women to bring sustainable fashion and social justice together for a fair but fashionable society. Talking to people behind the scenes of how that style was created, to teach rural people how to, how to help urbanites lead a sustainable life. Beautiful, beautiful. Remembered as a person who transformed retail to benefit society and environment, to give opportunity for underprivileged. Beautiful. This is amazing. This is so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. Now, let's leave us and go broader. And I'm going to illustrate that with my final story of today. Okay. So this is This is February 2011. You could think that it was a very simple time, but it was actually in the middle of turmoil. This was the Arab Spring. A dictator of 24 years, Ben Ali, was ousted in Tunisia. And for the first time in a whole generation, they had a country with no leader, or with the hope of a new leader. But so much time had gone by, and even the people who were fighting for the revolution never really thought that they'd be successful. So they came to a point where they were like, okay, now he's gone, now what? None of us know how to run the country. None of us know what we really want. There were no election promises. There was nothing. It was, he used to do this as a dictator, and there was a vacuum. So a bunch of media houses and so TV stations, radio channels, all of these newspapers came together, and they said, tomorrow, all of us are going to pretend like it's 16th of June, 2014. Okay, 3 years and 3 months from now. And that is when we finish our first elected government. And let's help people imagine. They just told people, good morning, this is 16th June 2011. Your government has finished its first term, your first fully democratic government. Please share with us what has changed. Please share a day in the life. Please tell us what you see around you. And people wrote beautiful things. People wrote things like, I've got a raise. I started my first business thanks to the loans that the government has given me. I walked back home at 11 p.m. today, felt completely safe. Things like that. People started to write their utopias, how they imagine their world to be. Okay, and we are in a similar crisis right now with Corona. And Do School has this new mission. It is We Emerge. And just like about 77 people here in this room today, I'd like for you to think about how would you like to emerge from this? And I will leave you guys with a quote. Okay, this is by Antoine Descent, and he said, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide work and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. Think about your lives as a part of a much larger journey, this vision that we're going to take, we're going to shape together. You have a community of support. How are we going to emerge from this? What is our ideal utopia? How would we like to see the world differently? So I'll leave you with that. You could find me on the Do School community. Please connect with me if you have any questions. Thank you so much for participating. I had a wonderful time interacting with you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I see clapping hands digitally or in person. Thank you so much. Really inspiring to listen to you. And I would say just or even more inspiring to see all of the answers of everybody in this group. So again,
Absolutely.
I think it's amazing to have 77 people. We're all thinking together. We are all sharing certain struggles. You all are part of the fashion industry or interacting with the fashion industry in India. And of course, there are also a couple of challenges we want to tackle in the course of this program. And I love it just to kick off our journey in connecting on our personal vision of what we want to leave as a legacy as well. I think that is very important, especially as a founder. So Nihal, again, thank you very much. And as
Thank
Nihal
you.
said, you can still write questions here as well in the chat, where we really encourage you to interact in the online community, where many of you already presented yourselves.
Absolutely.
In the chat. Great. Then as a third part, we would like to present to you. So again, this is the first webinar. We want to set the foundations for the next weeks to come, and hopefully for the next months and years to come in collaborating together. And we want to explain to you the different elements of the Industry Disruptor, especially of the online learning program that you are all part of. And for that, I'm just going to share. All right, perfect. Eva's sharing the slides even faster than me. Great, so here you can see our online courses and the schedule for the online courses. So we will have 6 modules. Today is the first module, and every Wednesday at the same time, so at 5 p.m. Indian time, we will do our webinars for the next 6 weeks. I'll just let you read through the topics here. I won't touch upon the detailed topics, but in general, today is about vision, purpose, and also impact. So we will also be sharing some further resources to dig deeper into that process of identifying your personal purpose, but then also how to align your purpose with the vision of your company that you are creating or that you are part of, how you can do an alignment there, and how you can also help others in your organization to align their purpose with your vision. So we will give you a couple of tools to just continue the journey that Nihal just started with us, to set the foundation, to really understand what is the impact that we want to create, what's the legacy that we want to leave behind. The next week, so Eva will be leading the session next week on fashion and sustainability, where we have again an amazing expert who will give us insights about the fashion industry in India, also the challenges, the sustainability challenges, and the social challenges that are part of the fashion industry nowadays, and maybe even first ideas how we can tackle them. And I know that there are many great ideas out here in this group to tackle them. The third module, just quickly about gender equality and how we can actually implement gender equality into everything that we do, into our own organization, into the value chain that we are part of, into society. So this will be a big topic, of course. Also working together with UN Women, we will also have someone from UN Women as an expert. Fourth module will concentrate on crisis management and resilience. Resilience is an evergreen in the entrepreneurial space. I think that's one of the main qualities, and I love that also a couple of you put that as your superpowers, resilience. But we also think about what Nihal mentioned, how can we emerge stronger out of the situation that we are all in as a world right now. And especially the fashion industry was hit very hard by the situation. So how can we emerge stronger and how can we deal with the crisis that we have, because every crisis also entails a chance. Then we will get more practical into the topics for entrepreneurs. So we learned from a lot of you that marketing and engaging with customers is something that you would like to discuss and learn more about. And then in the last week also funding and collaborating with large organizations. So as I said, we have the industry partners that are part of this program. One of them is H&M, and there will be more coming. Rehab is also one. So we see how can we collaborate between entrepreneurs and big industry and do that on the same level. So to also how can we deal with the power balance, and how can we scale your ventures. So again, those are the 6 topics which we will cover, and every week consists of one webinar every Wednesday, and interaction on the Do School platform, where you can download some further resources to do self-paced learning. And then most of all, what we put here, peer exchange and support. I truly believe that, this is I think a fact, that the wealth of knowledge lies in all of your heads, right? So there are a couple of experts that we invite who have the role to spark the discussion. But we would really like to have an exchange among you guys to share resources, to share ideas, to post questions, and to have discussions around that, so that we can all collaboratively gain a common understanding on certain topics, exchange our views, exchange our information, and in a collaborative way grow. So this is what we call collaborative learning and also co-creation. And this is what we would like to bring in as spirit into this group, so that we don't see each other as people working against each other in like classical competition, but to say we all want the same thing, and how can we join forces to get there. So this collaborative learning, please share resources that you have on the respective topics, share questions also to us. Please tell us what you need and kind of materials or information, and we will try to make it happen to facilitate access to that. So these are the different elements of the online learning for the next weeks, and hope this gives you an overview. And if you have any questions, please post them into the chat. So very concretely, an overview of a week. Again, there will be the online course, where we always have an expert and also engage amongst each other. And what I just mentioned, the peer exchange and the peer support, where we provide some material, but we would encourage you to also provide some material. And with that, I would hand over to Eva.
Lovely. Thank you, Philip. So yeah, I'll pick up. I think many of you have started to get familiar with some of the names of people who have made this possible. So we wanted just to quickly introduce you to the team supporting in the background, sometimes visible, sometimes invisible. So I want to give a special acknowledgement to Katya and to Suhaila, who are representing UN Women and We Empower Asia. They have generated the vision for this. It's part of a much bigger initiative, as Suhaila mentioned as well. So feel free. I think both of them being in the Do Community platform is an incredible resource. So feel free to reach out to both of them, and they just have a ton of knowledge, expertise, network to offer. Many of you interacted with Katya, who is our Director of Talent and Staffing. So she may be popping in on occasion to sessions, but she's active in the Do Community platform and was part of each of you being here. I know it was a rigorous application process and interview process. So welcome and congratulations again. Also, Swarnima is one of our experts, and she founded the DoX Hub in India. She is also an incredible resource and actually has a group of entrepreneurs focused on social impact in India that she'll be sharing more about in the Do Community platform over the coming weeks. And Angelique has been behind the scenes doing a ton of research with our mentors and with many of the people in your networks, just to get a good understanding for us to create the curriculum that Philip just covered with UN Women and We Empower Asia. And then last but definitely not least, Catherine is our faithful founder of the Do School and and was a big part of bringing this vision to life. So she is also in the Do Community platform. Again, I think we have some incredible people as resources and supporters in there. So feel free to find them as we talk about the Do Community in a couple minutes. I can help you figure out how to connect with them. And then our mentors. So actually some of our mentors are on this call as supportive listeners and are very active on the platform. So take a moment, if these names are not already super familiar to you. Yeah, I feel excited. I think there are a lot of sustainable fashion entrepreneur powerhouses in our mentor group. So they are all active on the Do Community platform. And quite a few of them will be coming in, just like Nihal did today, to provide direct input during our online sessions. So you have both opportunities to interact with people who have been down this road of really challenging some of the tricky aspects of sustainable fashion in India. And as you can tell, they're just incredible women and men. So we will be hearing and interacting more with them soon. Just a logistics note, all of you are here. It seems like most of you had a good experience. Please let us know if you had any troubles with tech or with the Do Community account. We're happy to help. This PDF that we're sharing now is actually in the Do Community platform. So you can always come back to this and look through the mentor list, look through your team list, look through the course schedule. It's all there available for you. And with that, I will switch it up and do a brief introduction to the Do Community platform. So this is actually a nice chance for those of you who have not already used this feature. On Zoom, you can do a thumbs up, and you'll see that on the bottom of your screen. For those of you who are already in the Do Community platform, which I think is most of you, if you would just do a thumbs up, so we can get a sense for how many people from this call might be new to the Do Community. Awesome! Okay, oh my gosh. All right. Many, many, many of you. Great. Okay. Well then I'll touch on things that might be new for some people and things that might be already a little bit familiar. Our Do Community is an online platform. It's a global platform that represents a collection of over a dozen thousand doers, and these are people who are focused on turning their passion and their purpose into action, just like you. So we'll talk more about the general Do Community later on in the program, but I just wanted to plant the seed that inside of this online Do Community that's all about connecting with each other, sharing knowledge, sharing resources, and ultimately co-creating, like all of you are doing through the Industry Disruptor. A special part of this program is that we have a private group together. So many of you are already in there and invited. I'm going to stop sharing this for a moment and actually give you a walkthrough of our Do Community. So just one moment while I pop over to that. Alrighty. Okay, so this is what our Do Community online platform looks like. Many of you have already been here. And thank you, Shilpa, for your message. I saw it right before we got on the call. When you come to this main Do Community, you can go into private groups. And this is where you will find our Industry Disruptor program. You'll find just a refresher about what we're up to here, the vision behind it with UN Women in Asia. And as you come into this group, it's very similar to a social media feed. This is a feed where every week Philip and I will post the recording of the session, just like from today, as well as an exercise that we offer or a resource that we offer for the week in between. The most value I would say that you can give and get from this program will happen here on the Do Community platform, because this is where you'll actually be able to post questions and share resources with each other. So just like so many of you did when you were introducing yourselves, go ahead, if you haven't already, introduce yourself, share a little bit about your work, feel free to link to your work, because there's so much overlap here in how people are creating sustainable fashion. But I think after the call today, if there's just one thing you remember from all of this, I would encourage you, one question, one burning question that you have, one challenge that you're focused on right now, go ahead and post it here in the group. And that way you all can chime in and just share how you might have addressed this problem, or if you're also interested in this. And also it's a chance for our mentors to get a sense for how they can best contribute. So I think I will pause there, since that was a lot of me talking at, but hopefully that gives you a sense of our private group in the Do community, and then just a little taste of the broader Do community platform, which you are welcome to use and navigate, and we will continue to share links and resources within. Anything that you would like to add to that, Philip, before we go into the Industry Disruptor program next steps?
No, wonderful. Eva, I think you said it all. I was offering also in the chat, I answered a couple of questions here in the chat. Again, if you have any other questions, you can post them in the chat now during this call in the next 15 minutes, or also reach out to us on the Do community platform. So you can also write direct messages to people, as you saw on the platform. So you can always reach out to us or post a question just on the wall for everyone to see. So you can decide if it's a question that's only for you, then please write it in a personal message, or if you think that this is relevant for everyone.